Hello and welcome to episode 23 of In PS We Trust. Now my name's Davey and joined with me as always is Phil.
You'll never walk alone.
And Spencer.
What's up, lads?
I've got something interesting, guys, about the number 23 here, right? So if you flip 23 round the other way, you get 32. That's my age. Spencer, we flip it back round, 23, your age.
True.
Then we go back to 32, double it, we get Phil's age. How nuts is that? It's crazy.
That isn't right. Come on.
That's mad. That's insane.
It's mad, isn't it? It's just nuts. How many times is this going to happen, you know? That we're going to get this kind of synergy in the podcast. I just don't think it's ever going to happen again. It's just insane. But anyway, listeners, you're listening to In PS We Trust. We're a fortnightly PlayStation podcast, and we each bring one topic of conversation to the table to go in-depth on. But first, before we get into that, boys, we're recording a day earlier than normal, so we're recording on a Thursday night, a school night. So what are you drinking today?
Well, I mean, I'm 23. I'm not as young as you all make me out to be a lot of the time. So I don't actually have school tomorrow. So I'm on the buds. However, I was drinking last night. So it might be a bit of a light night for me, a light podcast. But I'll persevere.
What'd you get up to last night?
My mate wanted me to meet his girlfriend. So it was me, two of my mates, and my mate's missus, just in Spoonos, having a few pints, cocktails, shots, tequila.
Ooh.
Nice.
He has a bit of an injury. He slipped down a wet step, and his arm fell out of its socket.
What?
On his birthday, yeah.
Oh, Christ.
From the shoulder? Just popped out?
Yeah, from the shoulder, yeah. So at 11:30 at night, we had to walk him to his girlfriend's flat, call an ambulance. They said it'd be a few hours. Call his mum. His mum had to come pick him up, and she was like, "Get in the fucking car. He was asleep."
You would have thought they'd do what they do on like movies, you know, where they like give them like something like a bit of belt to bite on and just like chuck it back in. Ugh! You know, like how effortless that is on like video games, like when you're low on health and you got no wraps to bandage yourself and you like just break your finger back into place and then you're healed again, right?
That's that Far Cry stuff, innit?
Yeah, just do that to him. He would have been fine. Walk it off. Kept the mum in bed then. For myself, I'm on the orange squash today. I got work tomorrow morning, and so I've cracked out. It's a Tesco's own orange squash. I'm not paying that premium for Robinson's, and it's decent, you know? Not bad. Not bad at all. I do miss the Estrella. I really, really do. But needs must, and, you know, at this age now, I can't go into work with a hangover.
What strength is that squash, mate? How many shots are you doing per pint?
I'm doing it freehand, right? So I'm eyeballing it, which is...
risky. Very risky.
It's hard to sometimes get that ratio right of water to squash, right? That dilution. If you don't get it right, you could fuck your kidneys up. So you got to be really careful with the squash. It's a danger food, and that's why I enjoy it. And I just think, yep, I've done it right here. This is a great cocktail.
You've poured me many shots on many nights out, and you are a terrible shot pourer.
You'll hear it in my voice. If I suddenly start getting all croaky and I start sounding like, it's because that mix is just, it's all gone wrong. But as it stands at the moment, I've eyeballed this brilliantly. This is a fantastic squash. What about yourself, Phil? What are you on today?
Well, I'm still trying to work out. Were you trying to make out that I'm 46 or 64?
64, if you did your quick maths.
64. Okay, so 32 and 32. Wow. Okay, as a 64-year-old, I'm lucky enough not to actually have work tomorrow because I'm off for 2 weeks. Was meant to be going to Orlando with my family, but unfortunately we live in an age where there's such a thing as a pandemic. So I'm staying home for 2 weeks, going to play lots of video games and drink lots and, yeah, just enjoy my time. I'm on the Budweiser as normal because that's what's downstairs. So I'm just going to get through a few of those tonight and hopefully not do any Jägermeister, but we'll have to wait and see.
Ooh, well that brings us nicely on to our challenges. So just before we get into what we've been playing, and this will kind of dovetail into it, I guess, but last episode we set a number of challenges. And I want to know how you guys got on. First off, do you want to give us a reminder of what your individual challenges were?
Okay, so my challenge, arguably the easiest challenge for most people, but for me and my schedule, I think it was rock solid. I had to complete the main story of Ratchet & Clank's Rifts Apart. And last episode, I was up to the point where I just completed the fixer level and taken on the nefarious boss fight. So I probably had about a third of the game to finish off. That was my challenge.
Fucking annoying that. My challenge, my challenge was to platinum The Last of Us, one of the grindiest multiplayer experiences I've ever, taken part in. So I'm not happy, really.
No, and I wasn't overly happy with mine either. So mine was to platinum Dark Souls Remastered. I'd done my first run and kind of left it there. And so last episode, me and Spencer had gotten about 3/4 of the way through, but I had all the grind in front of me. So the only way that I could potentially get mine done was print off a shed load of lists to work through. And it's the first time I've ever had to print off physical lists and tick things off for a platinum before. So boys, I want to know how you got on. Phil, did you manage to complete Ratchet & Clank?
Well, Davey, as you know, and my Twitter followers know, I did complete Ratchet & Clank Rifts Apart, the main story. Completed it Wednesday evening, so I did it with almost a day to spare, which felt good. There was an epic final boss, which I don't want to go into too much detail for and spoil it, because we're very careful not to have any spoilers on In PS We Trust. In my opinion, it really showed off the PS5 can do. There was loads of different things going on the screen at once, and it was a really impressive way to end the game. I was quite impressed also that they give you a little bit of a warning, like they do in most Ratchet & Clank games, that you are going on to that last fight. So I knew I had it there, and I knew I had the game completed. So yeah, had that completed Wednesday night. So I've passed my challenge. No shots for me, thank God. How about yourself, Davey?
For me, I managed to get it done. I managed to get it done with nearly a week to spare. I absolutely grinded the crap out of this platinum. I had my lists, and I was just running constant grinds on individual enemies to get weapons to drop, to find magics, to do all the different Covenant stuff I had to do. It was a lot. There was a lot to do there. But it felt really satisfying throughout the entire thing. And even though it's probably up there one of the most times I've kind of dedicated to a game to get a platinum specifically for what I was doing, none of it felt tedious. It was enjoyable throughout, and it's just because the gameplay of Dark Souls is just so fun to do.
I don't know if you boys are rubbing off on me slightly, but I was watching the trophies pop as I was going through Ratchet & Clank. And just to report, I'm 66% of the trophies through, so that's 35 out of 47. I know you both have completed and platinum Ratchet & Clank. Was there any trophies that maybe I should look out for if I am going for that platinum, guys?
This one trophy, which is the only trophy I had to grind for, and that's one of the weapons. It's the Void Repulsor or something. You need to level that to max and upgrade it, and then there's a certain criteria with it to get a trophy. And that's the only trophy I had to grind.
Yeah, the weapon you're on about is the weapon that's a shield. It puts a shield wall in front of you, and you've got to grind that up. So it puts like a shield in front of you, and then you release it, and it fires like a shotgun blast almost with the shield. And you've got to level that weapon all the way up, and then it starts reflecting bullets. You like store the bullets in the shield, and you can fire them back.
Yeah. No, I know the weapon you're on about. I've got that, and I think it's probably sitting around 3 or 4, actually, because I try and even the weapons out. I try and maybe disable myself slightly when I play the games, in the sense that I don't always want to walk through with the most powerful gun. I don't know if that's just a me thing. I quite like the challenge that Ratchet and Clank generally has in their games, where you have to sort of level up the weapons. So I was literally going into the next boss fight with the lowest power weapon to see if I could get through it. And as you know, the game's not exactly that hard, so it was a lot of fun to try and do that. So probably I'm more equipped to get to that grind if I do decide to go to the platinum.
I want to know, before we move on to Spence's challenge, which is the one that I think we're all on tenterhooks here, wanting to find out if he's actually done it or not, since it's been a long time coming. 23 episodes, in fact, we've been talking about this platinum.
And I've been watching his Twitter like a hawk. Nothing.
He's not let a thing slip, has he? Nothing at all.
Very tight-lipped.
But I want to know, me and Spence have obviously given our opinions on Ratchet and Clank and given our ratings in previous episodes. How would you rate this now completing the game? Where would it sit for you?
What did Spencer rate it? A 7, wasn't it?
I said it was the best game on PS5.
Yeah, you rated it a 9, I think. I think you rated it a 9.
I said it was the best game on PS5. Or not on PS5, the best PS5 exclusive.
I'd probably end up agreeing with that, because what else is against that I've got? It's only Returnal, and I didn't really enjoy Returnal. But we're going to speak about Returnal a little later on in the show. So yeah, it would have to be my best PS5 game so far. Yeah, I really enjoyed it, as I enjoy most Ratchet and Clank games. I don't think they've really put a step wrong. So yeah, I'd probably just stick with Spencer on the 9 out of 10 so far for that game.
Fair do. So I'm the outlier on this one then. I went in with a solid 8.
Before we move on to my challenge, boys, I have a question for you, Davey. Do you think if you didn't have a little helping hand in Dark Souls Remastered, do you think you still would have platinumed it in time? Easy.
Yeah, no bother at all. It wasn't really, I mean, you helped me with a couple of things actually. So you really, really helped me when I was doing New Game Plus Plus with the fight against Ornstein and Smaug, because I wanted to make sure that I only killed the person that I need to kill, which was Smaug. So, and you helped me do that. But I could have done that on my own. A couple more attempts, I would have had that. And then the final bit I had to do for the platinum was cutting tails off a couple of bosses. And so that was Priscilla and that was Seath, the Scaleless. Seath would have been a pain in the arse. I think that would have taken me a good solid few hours, whereas we did it first try together. But yeah, I would have been able to do it. There was nothing there that was like too crazy hard. And I would have made sure that I wouldn't have killed them without doing that, without getting that tail. So yeah, I would have got it. It probably would have taken me another session on top of where we did it. But yeah, no bother. Would have easily had it done.
Right, questions over. We all want to know, Spence, did you manage the platinum?
Right, so I played this a lot. I played this game a lot. A lot of sessions, a lot of hours. My girlfriend was over here for about a week. Didn't speak to her. She'd be on my computer playing Sims and I'd be on my PS5. That's it. Not a word. There was a point where I was doing the gimmick to quit games to skip days. And my survivors dropped to 3. 3 survivors. And if I run out of survivors, it resets. And this was on like week 10. And then the next game I played, it disconnected me.
Jesus.
And it didn't get rid of my survivors.
It didn't?
It didn't. It didn't skip a day either.
Oh.
But it didn't get rid of my survivors. And that session, I got The Last of Us Platinum.
Way! Congratulations, mate. Congratulations.
That's a huge win. Well done, mate. Well done.
That's fantastic, mate. Honestly, I'm so pleased for you. Like, so glad. How was that feeling popping that one?
Mate, fucking hell. It was satisfying. It was really fucking satisfying. It actually popped week 12, day 7. And I quit the game thinking I'd have to finish that day. So I quit the game and then the trophy just popped. And I was like, oh, cool. Sick.
That's immense.
So my little clip, my little clip that it saves of my platinum is just me quitting the game. And my mic's muted as well, so there's no pop-off or anything.
Oh, that sucks. That sucks, man. But still, that is so hype. So what number platinum is that for you?
There's a bit of news in what we're playing. That's platinum number 23.
Okay. All right. Well, we shall move on to what we've been playing.
This time on NPS We Trust. What have the boys been playing?
So guys, there's only one game other than Dark Souls that I've been playing, and that is Tormented Souls. So Tormented Souls is a game that really piqued my interest a couple of weeks back. I saw a random Facebook video, and it said about this game that's built by this small little indie studio, and they're trying to recapture the same kind of feeling as like Resident Evil and Silent Hill, and try and bring kind of survival horror back to its classic roots, fixed camera angles, limited inventory space, all that jazz. And I mean, that speaks to me. That's exactly what I've wanted Resident Evil to do since Resident Evil 4. I've wanted it to go back down that route. And there was no news on a demo. I was like, oh. PC had a demo, and I was like, oh, well, I can't play that. And then, finally, on Monday, just gone, the PS5 demo went live, and I played it. And I really enjoyed my time with it. I really, really, really did. I thought the puzzles were excellent, and even though it's really rough around the edges, it was just really entertaining, and it was just fun to play, even if you can tell that it's been made on a shoestring, which is just really weird to see. Now, have either of you guys, obviously you're both into Resident Evil, same as myself, any of you guys seen this or checked out the demo at all?
Yeah, I've seen it, same as you, and I think we did chat about it during the week. But I've had a lot going on personal life and job. Well, not so much personal life, but more specifically to my job. So yeah, unfortunately, I've only really had time to play Ratchet and Clank and complete that. But it is a game I would like to maybe play. But we'll get on to my ever-growing list of games that I need to complete before the next lot of games come out later on. How about you, Spence?
Yeah, I saw the same Facebook video. I think maybe you shared it or something, Davey, and I saw it. And luckily for me, I have a PC. So immediately after seeing the video, I downloaded a demo and I gave it a whack. It's good. It's fun. It's the one puzzle. It's bullshit. Because it doesn't really explain. I understand, and when I figured out the solution, or when I looked up the solution, let's be honest, I realized then I understood the puzzle. But
Which puzzle's that one?
it's the key puzzle.
Can you describe it to the audience?
Yeah, so there's 3 symbols and 3 kind of shapes that correspond with them. So there's an alien, and you need to have an X symbol with it. There's a B, and I can't remember the symbol for that. Was it the pentagon?
Yeah, it's a pentagon, yeah.
And then there was... what was the last one?
It's like an Egyptian mummy thing.
Yeah, Egyptian mummy and a triangle one with it, like a pyramid.
Yeah, it's like a star for the alien, triangle as a pyramid for the mummy, and then you find like a little symbol on the wall which shows like a soldier and next to a pentagon. So then you think, oh, B, worker B, soldier B, right? And you put it all together. So it's a really clever little logic puzzle. I love that one. I thought it was brilliant. And when it clicked, I was like, oh, I feel like such a genius, right? Getting that one right. I thought, oh my God, this is so out of my wheelhouse. I went through every single file in the game, like scrolling through them all. Where have I missed this? Where have I missed something? And I just thought, let's put a bit of thought into this, put a bit of grey matter in.
With the puzzles, not playing it, do you need to read the reports and files? Because knowing how you guys both play Resident Evil games, and of course we can mention that because we are still in the what are we playing section of the podcast. Davey, you read the files. Spencer, you gloss over them. So do you need to read them to find out what's going on?
I was going to say I resent that. I read quite in-depthly, I think.
I've watched your stream. No, you don't. You just press XXX and get back to the action as soon as possible.
Well, it depends which Resident Evil, It depends which Resident Evil. If it's RE2, I'm reading. If it's RE4, who cares?
I think you learned that lesson the hard way in Resident Evil 1, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I was glossing over in RE1 until I couldn't.
Yeah, until you then realise that you have to study them. It's a good mix, to be honest, Phil. There's some that you have to have read the files for, in which case then the puzzle kind of gives you the answer, like classic Resident Evil. There's some that you find stuff around the environment, classic Resident Evil, and there's some which are logic, which are more like Silent Hill. So it's really clever, this like kind of fusion of styles that they've put into the puzzles. Really liked them.
I find it funny what you just said, Spence, because you said, like the earlier Resident Evil 1, you didn't read the files, where actually that's the game where you really need to read the files. Later games, it's all action. Doesn't matter, does it? Just press shoot on the trigger and just walk forward. Easy.
Yeah, exactly right, mate. Exactly right. Well, that was where I learned my lesson, because I wasn't reading them, and then I messaged Davey like, yo, what do I do? And that's when I read the files.
So this game, Tormented Souls, listener, it comes out in only a couple of weeks' time. It comes out on the 28th of August, and I would thoroughly recommend anybody who's got a PlayStation 5 or a PC to check this out.
Davey, you've got a micro review, haven't you, up on your YouTube channel of the demo?
Yeah.
If people want to check that out, what's the URL of that?
Well, if you just go on to YouTube and just type in SSJ Davey, you should be able to find it there. I've done like a mini breakdown on my thoughts in a little bit more depth than we've covered here. I honestly think, it's a budget price game. It's coming out at £30, or you can get it on like the game collection for £27. I mean, Christ, that's worth a punt, in my opinion. And I think, for me, I want this style to return. I want Capcom to take notice of this style and potentially do like a spin-off Resident Evil style like it, or something like a Revelations 3 or something of that nature. And I want to support this vision. And I think if anyone out there is a survival horror fan, same as ourselves on this podcast, do it. Just take a punt on it. Give it a go. Support the vision.
Do you remember the character's name you play as in Tormented Souls?
Yeah, it's Caroline.
Okay, well, what did you think of Caroline's breasts?
Perky, mate. Perky. I thought it was a bit unnecessary, to be honest.
It was, yeah.
her being completely naked at the start of that demo with her boobs out in the bathtub, I was like, okay, we're going here. And then for her to be honest, like, to be completely honest, it's like as if it's made by a bunch of like horny 15-year-olds, this game, because she's walking around in like a dress that is just like straight out of an anime, tits out in the first 5 seconds. It's just nuts, right? It's just proper pervy.
And Davey, what are you rating the game? 10 out of 10?
The breasts are a 10 out of 10, damn straight. It's difficult because the gameplay itself is actually pretty decent. Like, in terms of the puzzles and stuff, they're really, really creative. But the rest of it around it's pretty bad. Like, the animations are shocking. The voice acting is god-awful.
Take the rose-tinted glasses off, and then what's your real rating?
I'd probably still go around the 7.5 mark, to be honest, because I really did enjoy my time with it. That hour flew by. I really, really loved it. But I just got to wait now for the full release to be able to give my updated thoughts and opinions on it. But that's it for me, lads. I haven't been playing anything else on my own. What about yourself, Spence? What have you been playing?
All right, well, I've got a little concoction of games that I'm a bit ashamed to talk about. So, as we know from the challenge, I platinumed Last of Us. Since last episode, that is one of 5 platinums I've got.
5?
5 platinums.
My God.
Let me guess. You've taken your trophy list, which was already pretty poor, right, in terms of your overall platinums.
It was good, other than one.
It was full of dog shit trophies, mate. It was, don't even try going there. I bet you've done this now for another 4 games, haven't you?
Yeah.
What have you done?
Right, so basically, I saw the summer sale was going on, yeah? So I thought, what games are an easy platinum that are like £1? So the games I've bought and played, the first one, which I can't wait to tell you boys about, is called Chickens on the Road. Chickens on the Road is basically, you're in a truck, your chickens have escaped the pen on the back of your truck, and you need to collect, I think, 1,100 of them for the platinum.
You got to collect 1,100 chickens on the road.
Yeah, and there's also green chickens that reduce your number if you grab them, and there's cars come in that make you reset if they hit you. The game controls like arseholes, but it was fun, and it was like 4 minutes for a platinum. So that's number 1. Number 2 is called Gravity Duck. If anyone's ever played the game VVVVV, it's basically a game where Gravity Duck as well. It's the same kind of concept. You can't jump or anything, but you can flip gravity. So you can flip yourself onto the roof and onto the floor. And you do that to solve puzzles and stuff, get to the end of the level. And I think you need to clear 64 levels or something along those lines. And then you get a platinum. You don't even need to beat the game. You don't even beat the game. You get maybe a quarter of the way through the game and you get a platinum.
Did you use a guide for these puzzles?
No.
Are they just really dog shit easy?
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, they are. The next game is called Jack and Jill DX.
I honestly thought you were going to say something like Mystic Duck. It was going to be like another foul-based game, you know, where it would be like Rooster Revenge or something like that.
I'm just quietly Googling the 15 easiest PlayStation trophies, and one of them is called Donut Country. Is that in your list? You bought that? Okay.
Oh, I bought that as well. Yeah, I bought that game, but it's not. I don't have it. I haven't platinumed it yet.
Go on, tell me about Jack and Jill.
Jack and Jill is basically your Jack. It's kind of like Super Meat Boy, where you're Jack and like Jill's gone missing. You got to find Jill. So it's Super Meat Boy levels. You can't move. You tap X, and then he starts moving. And that's it.
Like Mario Run?
Yeah, like Mario Run. And you can't turn around. He has to bump into a wall to turn around, and all you can do is jump. So it's literally just Super Meat Boy, except no control. And you just get to Jill. I think you have to clear like 12 levels, and you get a platinum.
That's got to be the explanation of that. The way you kind of adapted that to Super Meat Boy is like on the same level as when Phil describes Mario as a roguelite, right? You've described something that Super Meat Boy is like one of the most like complex and demanding like platformers going, really. And instead of just describing it as like Mario Run, right, or Temple Run or something like that, you're like, nah, let's go for the most complex one that is nothing like. It's just that it's got a jump button and that's it. That's the only link really to it.
Yeah, there's one more.
Okay. How long did that one take to platinum, that Jack and Jill bollocks game?
Oh, like 5 minutes.
5 minutes, yeah. Okay. All right. And the next one?
Davey, if next week you're playing these games, remember your disgust right now, okay?
Mate, I won't even go and play that mashy game that Spence played before.
My name is Mayo.
Yeah, I won't even play that because it's going to taint my list. The easiest platinums I've got are like Telltale games, which are automatic platinums, right? But that's at least a good experience. I haven't got any bullshit ones.
My Name is Mayo comes in at number 6 for the easiest trophy of all time, so it's a potential for you, mate. Only 99p as well, that's how they're selling it.
No chance. These first 100 trophies, these first 100 platinums I go for are going to be all legit. Other than the Telltale ones, but, you know, I can't do much about those. I wanted to play those games, you know. But go on then, Spence. Fill us in with the last one then.
The last one's probably the worst of the lot. It's called Slide. And it's basically a sliding puzzle where you just slide the pieces in the right place. All you have to do is pick a hard puzzle, solve one puzzle, you get a platinum, except every single puzzle is solved the same way. So all you have to do is read online the combination. So it's like down, right, 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 left, down, up. And then you got a platinum. It took me all of like 15 seconds.
Okay, Slide comes in at number 3 on this list. And the description for it is, Slide is quite frankly a laughable game. The game was advertised and sold on the store for less than £1. Yeah, as I said, number 3 for the easiest platinums of all time.
What is the top 2 then on that list?
Donut Country is number 2, as I mentioned. Okay, and number 1, hopefully I'm pronouncing this correctly, Dronasane? I'm not sure again, but apparently that's a From Software game.
Can't be. Surely not.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's a From Software game.
Oh.
Yeah. It's quite jarring to think a From Software game, of all things, would be on this list. But apparently it comes in as number 1.
That's crazy.
Spencer, that's going to be on your list next then, is it? Next week?
Depends how much it is. I'll say as well, I bought Donut Country. I also bought 2 other games as well. But the reason for this is because I was playing The Last of Us for the platinum grind, and I thought, fucking hell, this is a nightmare. This has to be at least worth 5 platinums.
Just a bit more information on this game. It's actually a PSVR game as well.
So next week we'll see that Spence now owns a PlayStation VR and he's got that trophy. That's what's going to happen next. It would cost him like 300 quid just to get that trophy, but he'll have got it. You know, it's another platinum under the belt. Jesus, mate. Now, I know there's one game on here, actually, that you and me, Spence, played together, and Phil's played it previously, although I don't know if he played it in this current beta period. That is Back 4 Blood. I'd like to get your boys' opinion on this, because last time we covered this, when Phil was talking about his early impressions of the alpha, he was really positive on it. Really, really positive. I think you played a few games, didn't you, Phil?
Yeah, we had a few nights playing, I think. Spence, did you join with me? But I think it was my brother and that lot I played a few games with. And yeah, it was generally a positive review on it. But I do feel like I've heard quite a lot about this game now, and it doesn't seem to be as positive. But how are your impressions of the game?
Not good, if I'm honest with you. Not good at all. I felt really underwhelmed by it. I thought it was really unengaging.
Okay.
It just felt kind of hollow. I'm kind of struggling how to describe it, to be honest, because it just wasn't fun to play. It just didn't have that same magic there that like Left 4 Dead does, and I don't know what the reason is. I don't know if it's the fact that ammo's limited, so you got to kind of watch your shots to a certain extent. I don't know if it's that. I don't know if it's just the enemy design being just like feeling really generic, just feeling like a copy of Left 4 Dead and not being Left 4 Dead. I don't know, but me, Spencer, and Tom from the Battlefield Hardline boosting group, we played it for a session. We played it for about 3 or 4 hours. And I turned it off and just immediately thought, nope, that saved me some money, that has. Because I'm not buying that.
For me, obviously, when the alpha came out, I was really excited to get that invite and get to play it on PC. But I've just seen too much of it. I see it every day on Twitter, and it's just the same thing over and over again. And that's probably why I didn't go that extra mile and jump in with you boys when you were playing it the other night.
I think to the game's credit, there seemed like quite a lot of content in that beta. There was quite a lot of levels you could go through, and the difficulty spike between normal and hard is just insane. It's like such a crazy jump that you'd have to just get really good. Honestly, I think the biggest problem I have with this game overall, and the reason why I think that it's lacking this impact, is because of the card system. I think it's completely unnecessary. And I think that with having like these custom kind of loadouts for your character and all that, it kind of adds different ways that you can play the game and get a bit of longevity out of it. And I get that. But playing it at the point we were, we didn't have any of these cards and didn't have any of these kind of upgrades and stuff, it just felt like there was just no impact to anything. It just felt like really easy on normal, and easy was just laughable. But then Nightmare just felt like totally unforgiving. It didn't seem to offer that right level of challenge.
Do you feel, though, if you played this game for a sort of length of time, obviously once it gets released and you have the ability to collect all these cards, that once you get them, you just find the OPs and just lock them in? You wouldn't really change them every time you play?
No, I can't imagine you would. I suppose the only time you would do is if you were playing with like different groups of people, and some people wanted to play certain characters that you were really proficient with, and then you'd have to like kind of mix and match it. But if you got a core set of friends that you're going to go into this game with, I don't think it's got much legs. And that's how I'm feeling about it. But I've been doing a lot of talking on this. Spence, you played it with me. What are your thoughts on it?
Mate, game's boring. Game's boring as fuck. Like, I love Left 4 Dead 2, and I was looking forward for Back 4 Blood. But what you said is 100% right. I'm actually really glad I played this beta, because now I know I don't want to buy the game. The game feels fine, but there is just something about it that makes it not very fun.
So, if I remember rightly, your impression on the alpha was generally positive, and now you've played the beta, it's slipped a little. Do you feel as if you had somewhat missed out the beta? You would have still had that positive feeling towards it?
No, yeah, I never played the alpha, but I obviously I watched a fair bit of gameplay. A lot of YouTubers and streamers I watched were playing it during the alpha, and it looked fun then. But with those personalities added to the game, it will make it look fun. Whereas playing it myself just didn't.
I think part of it could be that when we saw everything, it does look really engaging, right? Like when you're watching videos of people playing it and stuff like that. But if the game just doesn't feel right in your hands, you can't really get over that. It's the same way that, you know, when people were shitting on The Last of Us and they hadn't played it and stuff, you say you got to experience it yourself, you got to play it yourself, right? It's that same kind of argument, I suppose. And the game just, for me, it just didn't click.
So the way it stands, when this game comes out at retail, and it will be a full price game, won't it? Considering the build up to it and probably how much money they've spent on it, because it keeps getting knocked back and knocked back. It's a no from you guys.
Definitely.
Yeah, same here.
Sad. I was still in, but obviously I didn't join you for the beta.
Opinions online seem to be quite mixed on this. There's a lot of people that seem to be in the same opinion as myself and Spence, and then there's another contingent which are really enjoying their time with it. So, you know, ultimately, if you enjoy it, Phil, then give it a go. I mean, you could just play it on PC, get probably the best experience.
Yeah, I was just going to say that it'll probably end up being a PC game if you guys aren't joining then. I'll pay half the price and, you know, play with better people.
Play with better people. That's impossible, mate. But, you know, you do you, mate. You do you. You get on there and play that and play your LOLs and use your mouse and your keyboard and your WASDs and all this stuff. And we'll sit there, you know, not being virgins and get some platinums, which are either hard to get in my case or easy as piss in Spencer's case. And we'll live our best lives. Listener, you know what time it is. It's time for quick news. Quick news. Quick news. The popular FGC YouTuber Maximilian Dude is trying to bring back Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Following a successful campaign online of people retweeting the Bring Back Marvel, it looks like it may actually happen. Digital Eclipse, who worked on porting it originally, is looking to re-release it again on modern consoles. So watch this space.
Quick news. Sony's PlayStation 5, the £500 physical edition, is no longer selling at a loss, Just like the PS4, it has taken less than a year for the PS5 to stop being sold at a loss. Sony isn't repeating the costly exercise of the PS3 again.
Sony financials project the PS5 to sell a further 14.2 million units up until April 2022. Total sales of 24 million. This means this will achieve a lifetime sales of the GameCube and close to the OG Xbox in 16 odd months on the market, guys.
Quick news. Nine Inch Nails guitarist Robin Fink and the creative director of Spec Ops The Line, Corey Davis, are co-funding a new game studio, Eyes Out, which is working on an immersive cosmic horror game.
Quick news. Sony have completed their buyout of Crunchyroll.
$1 million.
They plan to unify anime streaming across Funimation and Crunchyroll. Rumours are that it's to be rolled out into a more expensive version of PS Plus.
Zoom! After playing WWE Battlegrounds, which was terrible, and I got that free on PS Plus, didn't I, lads? I've got it bad.
Woo!
I find myself reading more and more about the upcoming WWE 2K22. This is the first WWE 2K title since the release of the skipped annual release due to the disastrous launch of WWE 2K20. But that's all in the past, lads. I'm hype for WWE 2K22. So that section was jam-packed, lads. We have had so many different topics within Quick News today. But listeners, if you've got any views on what we've discussed above, you can always write in to the email. That's inpswetrust@gmail.com.
You can find us on the Reddit, which the link will be in the description below.
You can also feel free to reach out to us on Twitter at @MPSWeTrust or any of our individual Twitter accounts, which will also be in the description below. And also, please feel free to leave a review on Apple Podcasts.
So I think it's time, lads, for us to revisit a section which we didn't have to do last time. Time for a bit of Rumour Has It.
Kick it! Wake up with a rumor and you don't wanna go. You ask if it's confirmed and they still say no. So guys, rumor has it that Horizon Forbidden West has been delayed. This is the highly anticipated follow-up to Guerrilla Games' acclaimed open-world action-adventure game, Horizon Zero Dawn. It's going to be delayed until 2022. This was originally set to launch on PS4 and PS5 towards the end of this year, being 2021, but it now seems to be that the suggestions coming out from multiple different sources, we're looking towards next year now. GameBeat, Bloomberg, they're all weighing in, but as normal, we haven't had a comment from Sony. Guys, can you see this happening this year, or are we going to have to wait?
Mate, come on. We all knew it was getting delayed. I think it's crazy. The fact that they thought they could release this and God of War this year is insane. God of War got delayed. Horizon just had to follow. Kenna was supposed to come out in March. Where is it? I still haven't played it.
I'm going on a different viewpoint from you. I reckon it's coming out. I don't reckon there's any weight in this rumour. I reckon it's coming out. I reckon we're going to get a state of play in the next few weeks. And I think it's going to announce the full date. And I reckon it's going to come out in the fall. I reckon it's bound to. It's been in development for so long now. There's no reason for it to be pushed. If it is pushed, it would be a real shock. I don't think Sony needs it this year, but it will be a shock if it is pushed.
My God, you two disagreeing on something. The podcast is going to crumble down and break. What is happening?
It's these 5 bullshit platinums he's got. He's just separated himself from my line of thinking now. I don't even recognise him anymore.
You'll never get The Last of Us Platinum, mate.
I never want to get it. That's the difference.
Guys, as much as I want this game yesterday, I've got a feeling it's going to be pushed to next year. But let me ask you a quick question. Is it a sign of a good game that it gets delayed? Do we just want our games to be delayed so we get the best version?
No, mate, Cyberpunk. Definitely not.
I think it's just on a case-by-case basis, isn't it? I don't think you can read anything too much into it by there being delays. I think ultimately, if the game needs to have a delay, then it's only for the betterment of the product itself, right? You know, more time's obviously going to help any product, but at what point does that delay cause a detriment, right? Because if we look at it on some extreme examples, you look at like The Last Guardian, right? Delayed for like 12 years, and that game wasn't improved. Duke Nukem Forever, delayed like forever, and that didn't help it. So, you know, at what point do you delay it to the point where then you got to just start again? And obviously this isn't going to go down that same track, but it just goes to show you that it's on a case-by-case basis.
After what you guys were saying about Back 4 Blood, I feel that's turning into a detriment for the series. If it had come out when we were all playing it right at the start, or at least I was, I think we would have all bought it.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the problem with that game is they've let people play it. And that's the problem. You know, these demos, when they get released, it's going to go one of two ways. It's either going to be, you know, take people by surprise and get people that didn't want to buy it to buy it, or people try it and think, oh God, I would have wasted my money on this. And unfortunately for Back 4 Blood, it's the latter in my take anyway. But no, I honestly, I think the interesting thing that we can talk about this, lads, and I want to get your opinions on this. I've kind of already glossed over my opinion on this, but do you think that delaying this game out of this year, when you've got like Halo coming out for the Xbox, do you think that's going to have any detriment to the PlayStation 5 and the Steam that it's kind of had so far on this first year? Obviously, we've had a great first year so far with Demon's Souls, Ratchet, Returnal, all coming out, Deathloop in a month. Do you think that moving this game out of this holiday launch is going to hurt PlayStation and its kind of roller coaster that it's on so far?
I think Xbox fans, or Xbots as people call them, will probably have a field day on Twitter, field month or two, but that's it. I don't think it'll really impact PlayStation sales or the roller coaster it's been on so far much at all. If people want a PS5, they're not going to change their mind because Horizon's been delayed. Maybe they'll wait, but they'll still end up getting it when the game comes out.
Yeah, I kind of feel very similar to yourself, Spence. I don't think it's going to have any difference at all. The Xbox, they need to have a win, right? They need to have something this year for people to buy one, right? They do. They're getting absolutely trounced at the moment. And ultimately, their whole business model undermines this console sales anyway. Because what's the point in even buying one if you've got a PC? It's just pointless, right? There's just literally no need to actually own one at all. The best kind of mix of console gaming and PC is PC, Switch, PlayStation. That's the best mix. And there's no need for an Xbox if you've got a PC. There just really isn't. I don't think it's going to have any difference at all. I think the PlayStation 5 is still going to be an absolute powerhouse. Obviously, we haven't heard of the new Call of Duty yet, Vanguard, which apparently reported to be shown next week or so. I don't believe that. I think it's going to be whenever the Sony event happens. But that's coming out at the end of the year. So, or you would expect it to be coming out at the end of the year, and that is tied very closely to PlayStation. So that will sell consoles in of itself. You don't need to have something there. I mean, you think back to the start of the PlayStation 4 generation, right? We went about 3 years in that where we didn't have a Christmas or holiday release for years. I think we had like kind of the Bloodborne in the spring. We had everything was launched around springtime. Horizon was originally a February game. God of War was like an April game, I think. All of the big hitters have been towards the start of the year in that first kind of quarter, or the latest I think that I can think of a major one was The Last of Us, which was in the June. So it's like they don't really need it in the holiday to be able to push the console sales, but I think it helps. It helps just keep it in the public consciousness, and it's only going to really give, you know, the people that are so diehard about the console war on Twitter some ammo to fight back between themselves. Oh, look at this fruit smashing on Halo. Oh, look at us smash this crate on Horizon. Look how good it looks, right? It's just going to fuel those kind of conversations. And you're right, Spence. Xbox is going to go mental with this. Like, all the Xbox, like, hardcore Twitter are going to go crazy if it is actually announced as a delay. But realistically, in terms of the wider scale market, does it make any difference? I'd argue no. Not at all.
That's because we're not freaks of nature, mate.
That's very true, Spence. We're not total abject losers. But
You say the Xbox guys will go crazy, but I don't find myself, as a PlayStation loyalist, finding myself going crazy about, issues with Xbox games. If I'm going to flip the coin, I just feel like, they're on the outside looking in.
I disagree with that one, Phil, to be honest. I disagree with it because the PlayStation Twitter is real toxic as well. Literally anything that's going on, you see like a Digital Foundry video, right? And there's one part of a video where it drops 2 frames below 60 on like a crowded portion on like Cyberpunk or something, and they'll be like, oh, Xbox must be the most powerful console, ha ha lol lol lol. And it's like, come on, man. Console wars used to be really fun. A console war used to be really, really engaging and just full of banter, and now it's got so petty that it's just really lame. This console war this generation sucks.
There's a reason for that, I think, and the reason I think that is back in the day with console wars, you were kids, no one knew the specs. No one knew anything, it was just preference. You say, oh, I'm playing this game, all my mates are on this console, so I prefer this. Whereas now it's like 2 frames better, this is 4K 60, HDR plus 10. It's like, okay, it still runs on mine and I have 12 more games. I'm not going to shove it in your face.
The only numbers you worked with was mine's 16-bit. Oh, I've got the upgrade for 32-bit.
But I think, but even that when you think back, you go back a generation, right? PS4, Xbox One, that was a class console war, especially at the beginning, because it was, you had like the pernickety stuff of like, oh, Xbox were running it at 900p and PlayStation at 1080, right? There was always that then, and that was annoying even then. But you had banter. You had like, how do we trade games? This is how you do it on PlayStation. And just hands the video, just hands the game to his mate. Cheers. Whereas on Xbox, there was all that controversy of a DDRM or whatever it was that was built into it, stopping you doing that. I just think this gen, people just need to grow up a little bit. And if you're going to do some banter, make it actually good banter, right? Take the piss out of the medium. Take the piss out of Halo looking like a shit game, right? That's fine. Okay, that's cool. Don't go after the fruit. Shooting the fruit. Come on. That's just lame. Make it funny, right? Just make it something entertaining that people can get behind and make it a meme. Like Craig. I love the Craig stuff on the Xbox first reveal. Seeing that guy's face pop up everywhere was class. Loved it. It's getting a bit too much for me at the moment. I want everyone to pick their socks up, right? Pick your socks up. Let's get some good console wars going. Let's get some good banter going between the two communities. Let's not be so toxic. No need for it. We get Potato Chief on. He's an Xbox head. We get him on, we have a good bit of banter with him. There's no hate there, just pure banter. And that's how it should be between us two. We're 2 rival clans, but we love each other, really. We're all gamers, right? That's what it's all about.
So, boys, for the second little bit on Rumour Has It, my rumour is that apparently the PlayStation VR 2 specs have been kind of leaked, but it is just a rumour. So I'll read them as follows, and then you give me your thoughts. So, it's rumoured to have OLED screens, which is quite impressive, 2000 by 2040 per eye, 4K HDR displays, field of view 110, eye tracking, which is insane, I've never heard of eye tracking in VR, haptics in both the headset and controllers. The haptics in the headset is intended to reduce motion sickness. The controllers will come bundled with the headset. It's going to focus on AAA titles and include hybrid games playable on flat screen or PSVR 2. So far, there's no mention of backwards compatibility, but there's a big push for PSVR 1 games to be remastered for the second system. The controllers also apparently going to have capacitive touch sensors for the thumb and index fingers, allowing them to know how far the fingers are when they're not touching a controller. What are your boys' thoughts?
To me, immediately, does that sound like a wish list, or do you think this is achievable? Because there's lots of big kind of claims in there, isn't there? It's kind of lots of things that you haven't really seen within VR headsets previously. The rumble feature, I find that quite mad. To be rumbling on your head to reduce motion sickness. I don't know how much that's going to reduce motion sickness, because I think it will do quite the opposite, but who knows?
Isn't normally the reason why you get motion sickness to do with your ear? and to do with like your balance that you get from that. That's like when you get car sickness, right? It's to do with like your ears or whatever, like the liquid in your ear. Surely it should just do something with your ears, right? Like, I don't know, maybe like we were saying before, just go down to game, get your ears measured again, like we were saying last time. Get make another use for it. Hell, I'm just gonna keep pushing that agenda. I want that done. I want to save game. Let me get some custom earpieces. God damn it,
Davey, how many shares in game do you own? Because you're pushing it pretty hard.
I'm hoping they're going to put me on the bloody board of directors when they hear this, you know? They'll be like, Christ, he's got a plan to actually save our company. We were just going to start, buying games off people and giving them £2 for a brand new game and then sell it back for 38. And I'd be like, no, boys. It's all about the ears with me. Yeah, for me, the only thing that kind of jumps out that I think's weird, right? Like really, really weird in that is them saying like the backwards compatibility about them being remasters. That seems like such a wasted opportunity for me just to add some real value into the system immediately upon getting it. We've been getting VR games now as part of PlayStation Plus for ages. And that's one of the draws for me about the PSVR 2 is being able to know I've got like 20 odd games there immediately as soon as I buy a PSVR 2. So to have that kind of taken off you and then to rebuy them, I just won't ever rebuy them. Like, what would be the fucking point?
Davey, I know you're in the market for a PSVR. You've been looking around, potentially going to be buying one. Vance, you've got the, I believe, Oculus on PC.
Yeah, I have the Oculus Quest, yeah.
And I'm still the skeptic in the room. I don't have VR currently. But going off your point there, when it comes to the remasters of PSVR 1 games, what PSVR 1 games do we want remastered, if any?
Astrobot Rescue. That's the one that everyone hypes up, saying is actually an incredible game. That and Moss. I'd like to play Moss. I've heard that's really, really good. That's probably it for me. That's really the only ones that really tickle my fancy. I mean, Fireteam looks great. That looks really fab. But that's about it for me.
Surely you want 7 as well.
I mean, I've played that game. Actually, what game are you even referencing? What 7? What do you mean?
I'm not doing this. You know what game I mean.
Yeah. I've played it so much. I don't need to play it again. It would be nice to experience it in VR, but I don't really care that much, to be honest.
Don't you want to play Beat Saber as your head rumbles?
No. The idea of like waggling stuff to cut things, it's fun. I mean, like, but I got enough to waggle. The Event Horizon's a 2-hand job. So I got enough there. I don't need to mess around with cutting some virtual fucking shapes. I'd rather just have an actual experience rather than a gimmick. Even though I know Beat Saber is a great game. It's just not something I want to sit down and waggle my arms around like a fucking loser. But yeah, that's the only thing that really, really stood out to me. The rest of it is so above my pay grade when it comes to understanding this stuff. Like, I don't have any idea what flexible scaling resolution is, or like FOV 110. I mean, like, I never fuck with my FOV ever. I just literally just never touch any of that side of like options in a first person shooter. So God knows, is that good?
I feel like they're just trying to increase the list with more things that they're doing, right? It's one of those, it's all the options that you would never touch. As you said, the vast majority of us would never care about that type of stuff. If it works and it improves the experience, then hell, put it on. And I think that's what they've done here with the list. They've just added every single little thing that could possibly be in the list, right? Just to make it more appealing.
Now, I'm going to ask something here that's really dumb. I know it's really dumb, but hopefully there's somebody out in the audience that thanks me for asking this question. When it says the resolution here, and it says 2000 by 2040 per eye, what is that? Is that 4K? 4K is not that, right? Isn't 4K like 2.4 something?
It's slightly different from 4K. It's kind of like boxed 4K rather than widescreen. So it's 4:3 rather than 16:9 aspect ratio.
Right. Okay, I'm with you on this.
Yeah, it's basically 4K. Yeah, kind of, yeah. But it also goes into play with the FOV 110 they're saying. So like, it's kind of going to be more of a surrounding headset rather than just in front of your eyes. It'll be around as well, so you can like look all the way to your right and there should still be screen there. Or that's what I'm getting from this as well.
You wear glasses, don't you, Davey?
Yeah.
And if you look to the right or the left, you just see the frames.
Yeah, exactly right.
I think what Spencer's saying is that you wouldn't see the frames with this system. You would just see more of the screen.
That's cool. That is cool. Like you said, Phil, I don't know what the hell the haptics in my head's going to do. I never feel like one part of my body that I need to feel immersed is my skull. I never feel like that's something that I need.
If you could choose any part of your body to have haptics on, what would it be, Davey?
Straight on the dick. Immediate. Straight on the dick. I mean, why wouldn't you want to feel the wind in your, if you're wearing like a kilt, right? No pants. You want to feel the wind going straight through there, right? You'd love to feel that. That'd feel great.
Is that the new Braveheart game that's coming? 2022.
Definitely. I mean, you get into a tense bit of the game, you get a bit of sweaty ass, right? Get a bit of swamp ass. You could then immerse that even more. You could have like a bit of maybe like a 5D. You know when you go to the cinema and they got like that wind that kind of like blast you in the legs or whatever, so you feel like rats are coming underneath you or something. Just do that on the dick. Feel great. That's the selling point right there. Done. Boom. But realistically, I'm cool with hands. I think just literally just feeling stuff through the controller is enough for me to get a sensory experience from it. And when it's done really well on PlayStation 5, it does really, really work. Like, Call of Duty is still one of the standouts for me. I think it handled it so well in Cold War, how the guns all feel and how, like, when he's shooting weapons, it vibrates. I thought that was done great. And, of course, Astro was phenomenal in that regard.
What did you think of the way Ratchet and Clank utilised that system? Because I really like the little speaker that was in the handset, that you would get certain sounds coming out specific to certain guns. Did you notice that?
I was literally about to say that, yeah.
I wore headphones. I didn't ever hear them. I totally lost that part of it. And I know it does that on Returnal as well. It plays sounds out of the headset, out the controller. And it wasn't until I was literally had my headset off and I was just running through my 100th time through one biome that I noticed that it made sounds the entire time because I always had headset on. So I never got that kind of experience from it. It's a bit of a shame, really.
The pixelizer gun on Ratchet and Clank is a little bit special when you start shooting and you've got that microphone there and you've got the surround sound as well system.
So what would you guys do then? What would you want to have haptics put on? Obviously, you don't want it on your skull, right? Surely.
What about a bodysuit? You know, in the sense that you would have some sort of vest, right? If you got shot, you would feel that punch. You know, like I think a first-person shooter within VR where you could actually feel the bullets, not obviously to that extent, but you would see some sort of pressure where you got shot and you could see you getting hit from the right-hand side, so you would duck to the left. You know, that kind of thing would be quite cool.
It all just gets to the point where it just gets a bit gimmicky for me. Like at that level, like with vests and stuff, like I think it'd be something that I'd love to play, right? And I'd love to experience, be like, yeah, that was awesome. But then I'd never think, like, I come home from a hard day at work, right? Just get my kid to bed. Time to put on my vest. My goggles, put on the wind simulator for my kilt. Put on all this stuff to get this immersive experience. You just want to sit down with just a headset on your head and just get involved in it, don't you? Well, that's how I want to do it.
Time to put on the waggle suit, as you said earlier. So your body just shakes. But for me, even putting a headset on is too far. I'm just like completely cool with a handset or a mouse and keyboard. I don't think those two things have ever been beaten. I don't like anything else for my games, personally.
I suppose that's the thing, though, isn't it? We're just waiting for VR to prove that experience that the headset becomes like an essential piece, right? Where it becomes that thing. And I don't think you need to go too far further forward in that in terms of immersion.
So for me, in terms of the haptics, what I would want is similar to what Phil said. I wouldn't want a vest. I'd want a full bodysuit, similar to like, I don't know if you boys have seen Ready Player One, but he has a full haptic vest in that. So you could obviously feel gunshots. You wouldn't need a wind simulator because it would just vibrate on your Dodger, and on your arse if you were playing that kind of game.
The dream.
But what Phil said is actually really cool. Where like, say you felt like a vibration on your back left shoulder or something, you'd know where an enemy was. You knew where you're getting shot from. That'd be really cool. And instead of like slowly turning on analog, you flick your head. Because that's how VR works. You just turn around and start shooting. It's cool. It's a really cool system. Yeah, what stood out to me in this whole PSVR 2 kind of rumor was the haptics in the head doesn't make much sense. I'd have thought the eye tracking would probably be utilized in terms of motion sickness, because that just makes a lot more sense. Because having eye tracking, for one, means there must be a camera inside of the headset looking at your eyes. And surely it's pitch black in there. It kind of has to be. Or there's a camera in the screens or something. I'm not sure how they will work that out. But I'd have thought that would be used for that. And also the capacitive touch sensors for the thumb and the index fingers and the haptics on the controllers, those have been done for ages. Those were on the Oculus Rift and the Oculus Quest. Those controllers have both of those things. So that's nothing really new. The only impressive thing I'm reading from this list is just the screens, the resolutions per eye, OLED, 4K, HDR, and the field of view. Other than that, it kind of just seems like a bog standard VR.
I'm pretty sure that Google Glass had eye tracking in it, because that was the way you controlled Google Glass, by looking at... You had the swipe on the side, but you could look at certain points in the screen, and that would be your like command. I only tried them once, and it was a long time ago. Forgive me if I'm wrong, listeners, but please write in and tell me I'm wrong if I am wrong. But I think that technology has been around a while, so it probably wouldn't take too much to get that into PSVR 2.
So what do you reckon? We've had this kind of discussion every time VR comes up, right? And we're getting like kind of more and more details, or in this case, more and more rumors, right? What kind of cost do you reckon this is coming in at with all this kit in it?
100% selling at a loss, and it'll be £350.
I think they're going to have to make a choice. I feel like it would sell for either 400 or 450, but they have to think about being competitive, because the Oculus Quest 2 is £300.
Wow.
Yeah, and that has very good specs as well, and it's an individual headset. You don't need a PlayStation. So they need to try to be competitive now. So ideally, I think I'd agree with Phil at roughly 350, 300. At most, I think they could get away with 400 quid. But that's a lot considering 500 quid or 380 or however much digital edition is. I don't know. Why would you buy that? Having a PlayStation and 400 quid for a headset is a lot. They need to be competitive, and it has to be 300, 350.
What you got to consider is what else is on the market, okay? So you've got Valve Index, £1,000. That's top end. You've got the HTC Vive. Is that still viable these days? You're more knowledgeable than me, anyway.
I don't think so, mate.
You've got your Oculus 2. That was around...
The Oculus Quest 2 is £300 for 64 gigabyte.
What's happening with Microsoft and their like HoloLens? Because that's still threatening as well. And I'd expect that to be more expensive for the hardware they're showing off.
That would probably be more expensive, but I think that's an AR thing, not a VR thing.
They're still headsets, aren't they? You know, that's what I'm thinking. If you're going to buy one to kind of play games on, then it's a headset, right?
Yeah.
So 350, I think that's probably where you want to hit.
I'd tell you what, that would be fantastic. If it is that price, 350, then I think that's a, depending on what the deal is with backwards compat, that could be a day one for me. It really could. But I suppose it all depends, because I was thinking it'd probably be around 450, right? That's what I was thinking. But like you guys said about the wider market, it's a really good point. And they were market leader with the PlayStation VR 1. If they want to continue that with PSVR 2, like you said, they got to play the game. And if the competitors are putting it down and still making profit on having a cheaper headset, then they're going to have to follow suit. I just don't know this space well enough to be able to give a more in-depth opinion. But as long as the backwards compat situation is fine and the price is decent, you can expect me to get one day one. But we'll wait till we get more news on that. This just in, lads, super hot fire rumor just landed on our laps from earlier on today on the day of recording. So Special Nick, the co-founder of the Xbox Era podcast, who proved to be reliable in the past, leaking the Icky Island from the Ghost of Tsushima re-release, he's come out and said that FromSoft are working on a new PlayStation 5 exclusive game, and it's not Bloodborne 2, and that Wipeout is in the very early stages of development, so it'll be coming back after not having a game out since PlayStation 3. And apparently it's going to be a PlayStation 5 and PSVR 2 game, but it is early days in development. Lads, what do you reckon of this then? Do you reckon it's a load of shit, or do you reckon there's some truth here?
Well, I know from software, obviously they're working hard on the release of Elden Ring for PC and PS5. So that part of it really seems a bit rocky for me. I don't know how much truth is in there, or maybe it's just like wishful thinking, because everyone wants more Bloodborne, don't they? More Souls games. But the thing that actually excited me, and this will probably surprise you guys, is the mention of Wipeout for PS5 and PlayStation VR 2. I think that game would be sick on a VR. I'd actually be excited to play that. As much as I don't like VR and I don't like racing games, I think those two together, that's a marriage made in heaven. That sounds great.
Just as long as you get your haptic steering wheel, isn't it, mate?
Of course. Haptic headset, haptic steering wheel. I'll be right there.
Haptic dong attachment, and you're good to go. But yeah, I gotta say, I'm totally with you on that. I think that the From Software rumor is just a load of bullshit. I think realistically, if they were going to be working on another PlayStation 5 exclusive, it's going to be Bloodborne 2. Surely, right? It has to be. It has to be. It's so in demand from everybody. Why would you abandon that? I don't get it, right? I just do not understand that at all. And as far as Wipeout goes, I played the PS3 version of Wipeout to death. I don't know if you remember, Phil, but there was a period of time when we were doing pre-drinks around mine where it was all Wipeout. I don't know if you remember that too much. There was a lot of vodka going around, but you used to be able to import custom soundtracks, and the soundtrack that we had was Soulja Boy's first album, and it was just on repeat all the way around. How to put the bed to my swag on. And that's all Wipeout reminds me of now, is that original Soulja Boy album. That's how dated and how long ago Wipeout came out.
Crazy days, mate. I honestly don't remember it, but what I do remember is Martin was setting, not world records, but definitely records when it came to that game.
Oh, yeah.
He was very good at it, wasn't he?
Oh, yeah, he's fantastic player of Wipeout. Absolutely fantastic. I know he'd go mental for it. I think that'd be a huge deal. I mean, to bring that back, I mean, the studio who used to do Wipeout, Studio Liverpool, they've been closed down for a long time now. But that franchise is a storied franchise with PlayStation, having launched alongside the original PlayStation at its infancy. So bring it back. I mean, that game on PlayStation 3 was a technical marvel. It looked fantastic. And so to be able to see that in PlayStation 5 would just be sensational. I'd be so hyped for that. What do you reckon, Spence? How are you coming down on this?
Well, we all know I adore FromSoft games. They're fantastic. But I do think it's a bit mad that we're already getting Elden Ring 2. And it's going to be an exclusive. That's insane. Because if it's not Bloodborne, it's Elden Ring 2. There's no shot. Literally, Elden Ring isn't even out yet. It comes out in January. If they are making another game, it's early development, and all we're going to get is a God of War sigil that they'll show. There's no shot they show us anything.
What do you think the possibilities that they'll be doing kind of like a middle ground game, a Revelation sort of style S game? So something that'll just sit in the middle and be like a supplemental to the main story.
You're thinking we're going to get Deracine 2. The easiest platinum.
Hey, maybe. That's a VR game as well.
Oh, Jesus, God, no. I think the only thing, if they wanted to get some easy wins, right, and it to be low effort and make a shitload of money, just put Bloodborne 2 out again, just in 4K 60. Just do that. Just do it and charge it for an upskill. People will pay for it. Christ, I'll pay for it. I got the platinum on that game. I'll do that. That hits all the same kind of barriers that they got there. You know, it's a PlayStation exclusive. It could be 4K. They can do what Ghost have done and charge extra and not really need to include any extra content. They could just literally say, okay, it's now 4K 60. Have at it.
Davey, mate, spot on. Yeah. To be fair, I'd be quite happy with that as well.
My suggestion. Okay. You've seen the Transformers behind me. You've also seen the Gundams behind me. So I'm saying to you guys, Armored Core comes back. Could that be a possibility?
Yeah. I mean, would I be happy about it? No. Like, would I care? No. I mean, you've bought a couple of Armored Core games, haven't you, Phil? I'm sure we played some of those before.
Yeah, they're all trash. But, I love them. I say that with a big smile on my face. It'd be an easy win, wouldn't it? It wouldn't take a lot to be better than Armored Core 2.
I mean, yeah, it could be. I mean, PlayStation exclusive Armored Core game. Is that going to move the needle? Probably not.
I think we got an opportunity to put a shot on this, lads. As much as I hate Jägermeister, I'm really in for Armored Core, right? If they bring out an Armored Core, you're both getting a shot.
Okay, right. Well, I'm putting my money on it being a Bloodborne remaster. I'm putting that on the line. I reckon they're going to do it 4K 60, charge for a upgrade. I don't think it'd be a free upgrade.
I would agree. But I can't. So I'm going to go with... I'm not going to say whatever that game was, Deracine 2. I'll say a FromSoft VR game.
Rumour has it that the GTA PS2 trilogy is being remastered and re-released, guys. According to the sources, I believe on Kotaku, Rockstar is actively developing remastered versions of Grand Theft Auto 3, Grand Theft Auto Vice City, and Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. All three of these games are being remastered using the Unreal Engine and will be a mix of old and new graphics. One source, who claims to have seen a snippet of the game in action, says that visuals remind them of a heavily modded version of a classic GTA title. The UI for the game are being updated too, but that will retain the same classic style. No details are shared about the gameplay, but Kotaku have been told that these remastered titles are trying to stay true to the PS2 era of GTA games as much as possible. Me, personally, I only played the original Grand Theft Autos on the PS1. I never played the PS2 versions or the PS3 versions of GTA. How about you lads? Are you excited about this?
Kinda, yeah. I am, to a certain extent, only because I played GTA 3 and I played San Andreas to death. But Vice City, for some reason, right, when it came out, even though it's got probably the best soundtrack of any game ever made, right, it's a fantastic soundtrack. I played a lot of it around my cousins, but I never bought it myself. And I've always kind of wanted to go back and revisit that game. And I know I can buy it on PS4 right now. You can just buy it and play it. And it's just the PS2 version of the game with trophies. But a remastered version? I don't know, that's kind of hitting me. I'd kind of like to play that. I think I'd have some real fun cruising around to Beat It by Michael Jackson and, you know, killing those people. I think it'd just be fun. Just be a fun game to play again and experience that game fully, which I never did back at the time.
How about you, Spence? Are you interested in these?
I mean, I wasn't at first. Out of these games, I really only played San Andreas on my PS2, and then I played it again when I got my PC because it's like £2 on Steam. So I bought it on my PC as well, and I loved San Andreas. I played it loads, but I never actually got very far into the story. I'd always just spawn a jetpack, fly about, kill some hookers, and go about my day. So now, if I can actually revisit 3 separate stories in GTA games, which are fun games anyway, and platinum them, ooh, that sounds great.
For me, these games traditionally, as much as I said I never really played them, they were always the games that, you know, my mates had, and it felt a bit naughty to be playing these games because obviously you've mentioned prostitutes. Obviously, there's a lot of that kind of stuff going on in these games. It was always a bit, oh, you've got the Grand Theft Auto game. Okay, well, we'll come over. Make sure, you know, mum and dad don't walk in and play these games. It always felt a bit naughty to play these games, but obviously I'm 36 now, and going back to these games, maybe I won't get the same thrill from killing prostitutes as I maybe did when I was a little bit younger.
I've actually got a bit of story that kind of goes along with that. Back when I was a kid, playing San Andreas on the PS2, my friend, I won't say his name, he's been in the prison since, he borrowed my San Andreas, and maybe the next day, his mum came and knocked my door and said, "Don't lend this to my son," and gave it back to me. And then maybe 20 minutes later, he was back at my house, like, yo, I'll hide it better, trust me. And I lent it to him again, and he didn't get caught again, to be fair. But I doubt he played it for much longer than 2 minutes at a time, because he was probably terrified of it walking in.
Do you reckon we could make like some kind of like Daily Mirror article about the fact that this guy played San Andreas and then he went to prison? Do you reckon there's any connection there?
I mean, I don't know what he was doing in the game, but he didn't kill anyone in real life, so...
Wouldn't it be funny if he actually wasn't very good at the game and he was just going around minding his own business in the game, but he just quite liked the, you know, walking around, going into just cars and just being quite normal on the streets. He didn't kill anyone. He didn't jack any cars or whatever you kids do.
Just drove the speed limit the entire way around the island, you know, totally law-abiding citizen. Just got a job as a taxi driver, which you can do, and just ferry people around, and it was a great little existence. And then he realised that real life was where he did his GTA activity. But no, I got some really good memories. Like my favourite memory on the PS2 with GTA is GTA 3, without a doubt, because that game just blew my absolute mind, right? And this is actually really interesting. Obviously, you guys know, and as if you've listened to the podcast enough, listeners, that you'll know my favourite game of all time is Metal Gear Solid 1. Now, when I got my PS2, I got 2 games with it. Metal Gear Solid 2 and GTA 3. Right, those are the 2 games I bought for my PS2 on the day I bought it. And I was so excited for Metal Gear Solid 2, you have no idea. It took me 5 months till I played Metal Gear Solid 2 because all I was playing was GTA 3. I literally could not stop playing it. It just blew my mind. Going into that generation from PlayStation 1 and seeing what you could do on GTA 3 was just revolutionary. It was just so far ahead of anything else that was around at that time that the game just felt so unique. And it was just one of those games that just totally created the open world genre. It's responsible for it. And it's an icon in gaming. And as much as I don't want to revisit that game now, because I reckon it's going to play like arse, I got so many fond memories of that game. It's unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. I remember before I had my PlayStation 2, I'd go to like a youth club and they had one in there and they had GTA in there. And I used to just go and just hog that setup. And, you know, you go to a youth club and people like playing pool and they're like playing football and doing actual real activities. And there was me just wanting just to play GTA 3. I'll never forget. I'll never forget those memories.
That would never happen in this day and age because that game definitely had an age rating to it.
100%. No one gave a shit about age ratings back then, though, Phil. No chance. I mean, I was there with my parents when they bought it, and they obviously knew it was for me, right? And they don't care. They just don't care. Like, nobody cared at all. I don't think I ever got ID'd once for a video game, for like an 18 video game. Like, not once. Never in my life.
Your dad walks into the shop and he's like, I'll have a copy of Grand Theft Auto, a packet of cigarettes, and a 6-pack of Fosters, please.
They're like, what brand was it again, Matt? Oh, it's Richmond's. Richmond's, Dad. Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, no, not 10s, mate. 20s. Nobody cared back then. It was a different world. But now, parents would go mental if they realised that a 12-year-old was playing GTA in a youth centre.
Imagine all those Karens on Twitter. They'd be going crazy.
It'd be insane. It would shut down Twitter. It would be crazy. It'd be chaos. But yeah, so overall, weirdly enough, the more we're talking about it, the more excited by this I'm getting, which is really strange because when we first put this rumour into the doc, I could take it or leave it, but now I'm actually really hyped by it, which is really strange.
The one thing I'm kind of hoping for from this, if this rumor actually has any weight to it, I'm quite hoping that after this, if it's successful, which I think it will be, because as we've talked about it, I kind of want to buy it now. I hope they remaster Bully, because either that or make a sequel to Bully, because Bully happened and it was great. I never got to experience it back then, and I want to.
Again, that's never going to happen, mate. That game will never come out, will it? It's just never going to happen. They're never going to be able to re-release Bully or have a Bully 2, or is there a Bully 2? I don't even know.
No, there's not, no.
You're never going to get a PS5 exclusive. Coming to PS5, Bully 2. Like, people go crazy. You just could not have that.
Yeah, Bully's always the one that I missed. I missed Bully, and I don't know why the hell I missed Bully, because it was apparently amazing. You know, I played like Manhunt and played like everything they put out that generation, but missed Bully. It's so weird. I mean, it's like the perfect setup. You're just a kid at school, flushing people's heads down the toilet. You know, go straight after the gingers, chuck them straight in the locker. It's like the perfect power fantasy. I was never big enough to be a bully at school, you know? I'd have to really find like a runt to be able to proper bully him. And so I never got that opportunity. So if I can live that in a video game, hell yeah. I mean, people just need to just grow up and realize it's just a video game. It's all fun. It's all fun, isn't it? I mean, we'd get cancelled this podcast straight away if they thought we were being serious. But, you know, it's all just fun and games. It's all fun and games. I don't really want to beat up gingers and chuck them in lockers. But on a video game, I do. And I think that would be fun. So give me Bully 2, just like we're doing with Marvel vs. Capcom. And we got that whole Twitter thing going on. Let's start a Bully 2 one. Where's Bully 2? I'm always about sequels, you know this. Just give me Bully 2. That's all I need.
Another thing I'm thinking about is why would they do this? Because they know there's a much better way to make money, and that's GTA 6. So it's strange they're doing this when GTA 5 came out in, 2013? It's been like 8 years. Where's GTA 6? Why are they doing this instead?
Well, it's because people are still buying GTA 5. There's still somebody who doesn't own GTA 5. It's probably Phil. Phil's probably the only person they're waiting on to buy it before everyone in the world owns GTA 5, and then they can just put out GTA 6. But they're making absolute bank off GTA Online. I mean, you know, if it's lasting this long, we got the PlayStation 5 outing for it later on this year. I mean, they're going to milk this for as long as they can. And to be fair, Rockstar, the amount of detail they put into Red Dead Redemption 2, they don't half-ass their games. They put a lot of effort in. They're kind of the same level as Naughty Dog in terms of their fidelity and what you can do inside their game worlds. So they're not going to rush it. They're going to take a sweet-ass time. And to be fair, it'll probably be an outstanding experience. So I can wait for GTA 6. I mean, I'm not in any rush to play them. And when it comes, I'll definitely check it out, without a doubt. But I'm not craving for it. Let's move on to the main event. It's topic time. Stop! Topic time!
Topic time, boys. So for my topic of the evening, we are having a follow-up on the Activision Blizzard conversation from last time. And again, just like last time, I have no fucking clue what's going on. So boys, I'm going to have to trust you to fill me in and the listeners. So one of you please take it away.
From what I've been reading, a class action lawsuit has been filed today by the US District Court of Central California on behalf of the investors of Blizzard Activision for the intentional failure to disclose the ongoing problems within the sexual harassment and discrimination affiliated to the company that has inflated the company's stock value. So in layman terms, if the investors had known about the activities that were going on at Blizzard, they probably wouldn't have invested so much. Activision Blizzard's stock price, currently, it's going down since the 21st of June. As the news broke about the company being sued by the California Department of the Fair Employment and Housing over the workplace culture, the investors are understandably concerned and they are getting out. This is a bit of a problem because it's now hitting them in the wallet. But Davey, I know you had a lot to say about this last week. Spencer, did you want to chime in on this?
Yeah, I kind of did. From what you're saying, now that we know what's going on with Blizzard Activision stuff, if the stocks are like tanking right now, is now not a perfect time to get some Blizzard stocks? I know that sounds crazy, right? However, Diablo 2's out soon. They're showing off Call of Duty soon. Diablo 4's in the works, Overwatch 2's in the works. I'm buying some Blizzard stock. As much as their situation is horrible, they're horrible people, everything's going on, I want to make some money.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, the stock price, I was just looking at it now. I mean, if we rewind time a month ago, we go back to the 23rd of July, stock price was $91.50, right? And at its lowest, it went down to $79.83. So it's on the rise back up again now. It's now at 85. But yeah, now is probably a perfect time to get in and buy stock in there. Especially, as you said, with the game releases they got coming out before the end of the holiday season. It makes perfect sense to go in and actually start putting some money in because the company, for as evil as it is in terms of what the staff members have been doing, it's going to make some serious bank. Like, there's never been, or to my knowledge, there's never been a game where people have said, like, never buy this, right? And everyone says, yeah, we're never going to buy this. We're not going to buy this new Pokemon game. We're not going to buy, we're not going to buy Cyberpunk. We're not going to reward crunch. We're going to stay away. Nobody buy it. And then it goes on to sell like hundreds of millions, right? No one gives a shit. And so nothing's going to really change in that front. And so profits are going to rise up. But this whole lawsuit thing is just insane now. It's just actually insane. And I got to say, they've had it coming, man. They've just had it coming. It's been on the back burner, bubbling for such a long time. Everything we spoke about last week on the last episode, I thought was really good in terms of like breaking down what they can do moving forward and how they can unionize and all that stuff. So I'm not going to rehash that. But I think, unfortunately, there's one person I actually feel a little bit bad for in all this. The person who had to take the fall here was Blizzard president J. Allen Brack. And he stepped down after all these allegations of sexual misconduct. And he doesn't appear that he's done any of this stuff. But it's apparently down to his leadership style and how kind of lackadaisical he was and like how he was letting stuff slide. And because he wasn't dealing with things and kind of really rooting the problem out and, getting rid of people and stuff like that, it just let this bro culture just go on and on and on and on. And some of the stories that have come out from staff members there are just insane. Some of the stuff I've been hearing about, like every single day, people were coming to work like absolutely trashed, that they were having like just drinking contests at work, and they'd go around like crawl underneath the desks and like go and just find women and basically just try and chat them up, and they had like different women kind of competing with each other to be able to get promotions, and there's loads of crazy stuff. Like every single day there seems to be something new coming out of this whole thing. It's nuts. It's absolutely insane. It's like something you'd see on like The Office or something. It's like it's so far out of reality. It's nuts to think this was actually happening in such a mega corporation as Blizzard. It blows my mind.
I think with Blizzard, though, they've definitely been the gravy train with biscuit wheels, haven't they? They've just been rolling through, releasing game after game after game, hit after hit after hit, and making a shed ton of money while doing it. You know, they got picked up by Activision, and they only grew in what they're doing these days. When a company is on that sort of high, all these things get overlooked, don't they? Because they're looking at the success, they're looking at the money. But now, because of what's been happening, people are starting to talk and get together. More people are starting to talk. And now we're hearing about all this disgusting behavior. The investors, they don't want that at their company.
No. Can you imagine putting like, hundreds of thousands in and then the stock price takes like, a 10% drop? That's massive. And sure, it's recovered quite a bit up now, but Jesus Christ, you'd be furious. No wonder they're getting sued for this. And at the end of the day, it's only that kind of thing that a company like Activision Blizzard are going to listen to, is the investors. They don't care really about public opinion. They obviously know, like, public opinion for Activision's been in the dirt for a long, long time. It's not quite as bad as EA's, but it's not great, right?
But just to nip in there, you wouldn't say that about Blizzard previously, would you? You would say it about Activision, but you wouldn't necessarily say that about Blizzard. They're a bit like Valve, kind of that untouchable status. They did have that for a little while they were at their high heights with World of Warcraft. But now, yes, as you're saying, the wheels are definitely coming off that gravy train.
Yeah, and then this is the thing now. It's that kind of thing that when you get your investors are pissed at you, that's then when, as a big, public company, that's then when things start happening. People start getting...
Heads start rolling, mate, and that's what's happening.
Yeah, exactly. That's what's happened to J. Allen Brack. He's jumped on the sword. And there's going to be more. There's going to be more people. I don't think it's going to be as widely reported as J. Allen Brack is, but what's quite interesting is that instead of being a president position now, the two people they've got in to replace him are called like co-leaders. Have you seen anything about this? It's so weird. It's like kind of like supposed to be there as like a way to like not have that kind of like same semblance of power as like a president is, but realistically it's kind of just the same thing. I suppose we'll have to wait and see now and see kind of what happens going forward, because similar things that have happened like in Ubisoft, where they've had a lot of sexual misconduct allegations. Loads of people have been let go of the Ubisoft teams and stuff like that. But has anything really changed? Probably not. And, the head guy there, Yves Guillemot, he's not really taken any falls or done anything. He's just gone out on stage talking about rabbits, and no one gives a shit and everyone moves on. So it's probably going to be the same kind of thing here with this. There's going to be a lot of public outcry and a lot of support put behind the people that work there. And unless the investors start really pushing the hammer down on Activision, nothing's going to change. So hopefully this kind of thing leads to a better workplace culture there. Or, as I said last time, the workers take it onto themselves and they unionize and things improve from there. But yeah, it's just mad.
So lads, have you had a chance to download that new abandoned real-time experience app? I hear it's pretty popular and people are trying to get their hands on it. Have you managed to download it yet?
Yeah, well, I've downloaded it, but good luck actually trying to actually play it. We've been fully abandoned. Yeah, so it's been an absolute mess with this. Absolute mess. So the story, listeners, if you want to be caught up, is that Blue Box Game Studios showed a while ago this teaser of a game called Abandoned, which is a first-person survival horror game, and it looked sensational. We were all popping off on this podcast, all talking about how great it looked, and we couldn't believe that the studio just came out of nowhere and had this kind of visual fidelity. It looked fantastic. Then they announced, weirdly, that they were going to have, instead of a trailer go live, they were going to have this app for the PlayStation, which you download, called the Real-Time Experience app. And you could then go on and you could watch it, and it's fully rendered PlayStation 5 assets on screen, right? It's the best possible way to show it, apparently. And that was supposed to go live months ago. Then it was delayed, and it was supposed to go live yesterday from the date of recording. So it's supposed to go live on the 11th. And what happened is download the app, get in there, and it says, check back soon. And that's it. And then on Twitter, they've gone out and they've apologized and they said, look, I'm so sorry. We're a small studio. We're working very hard to get this patch go live. There's a problem with the patch. Check this space. And so everyone then has gone, the rumor mill has just gone fucking insane off the back of this, because obviously this game has been long rumored to have close ties to Hideo Kojima. It's had close ties to be linked into PT and into Silent Hills and into even Metal Gear has been thrown into the conversation. There's loads of stuff, right? And the studio hasn't been helping themselves because they've been kind of fueling it. They put out tweets originally saying like, what starts with S and ends with L? And so everyone's thinking Silent Hill. And then they have to go out and say, no, we're not linked to them. We've got no ties to this, blah, 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 blah. Well, it turns out today is PT Day. So everyone was thinking that this is another stunt where it was going to go live today. And that's not happened either. So really, it's been an absolute fucking disaster so far for this. I mean, Spence, what are you thinking about this?
Yeah, I mean, I downloaded it as well. I booted it up, excited just to see a little check back soon. Immediately checked Twitter and it just doesn't work. Doesn't fucking work. How, like, we get game delays and that makes sense because the game's not ready. It's not even a game. It's a fucking app. They're playing a cutscene for us and they can't figure it out. They literally tweeted, I'm on their Twitter right now, they tweeted 8 minutes ago saying that they spotted a graphical glitch and had to deal with multiple engine issues due to that graphical glitch. So they say they're almost there, they've tested it and it's almost finished. But from what we know from the past, that means we'll actually get to see it in 3 months' time. It's a joke. I was really excited for this game. I thought it looked phenomenal. And this isn't giving me much hope at all.
Yes, this game is giving me mega No Man's Sky vibes, like insane. So do you remember like in the pre-release to No Man's Sky where Sean Murray was going out and saying, yeah, you can co-op in our game, but you'll never find another person. The game is so vast. There's so much to do. There's so much diverse landscapes and so much diverse creatures and all this stuff you can do. And Space Wars. Do you like Space Wars? Where you can get into Space Wars now and you can do all this stuff. And it turns out that there was just none of that in the actual game and he just blatantly lied, right? And obviously all that stuff got added in as the years went by and that game now is in a really good state. It's apparently really great now. I'm getting that kind of same vibes from this whole pre-launch stuff because they're promising the earth here. You know, they're saying, people have tweeted them and said, what kind of fidelity should we expect here? Is it like on par with Red Dead Redemption 2? And he's like, 100%. It's like, there's no way. If you can't even get a fucking app live on the PlayStation Store, there ain't no way it's going to be that kind of level of visual fidelity. Then it turned out that some of the tree assets were actually just bought from the Unreal Store. There's so many red flags going on with this game now, and I don't know if this is a massive Kojima-style stunt or not. And that is the thing that is just doing my head in right now, because I want to put this to bed, and the problem is because they fueled it so much, that everything now that happens, all it takes is someone to say, Kojima's done this kind of thing before. And you're like, yeah, goddammit, he has. There's a chance, boys. It could still be Silent Hills, or Metal Gear, or something totally random like that. And not knowing that is doing my head in.
My thought process for this, right, is just the app, which is a cutscene. It's a cutscene, that's all it does. You just have to add a scripted cutscene and put it live. That's it. It should be on YouTube. It should just be on YouTube, but they're doing this. If they're struggling this much where they have to delay an app and then when it goes live it doesn't even work, when do you think we're actually going to get this game? 2025? 2026?
Christ, I'm sure it was supposed to be out at the end of this year, wasn't it? That was the original release date. There's no way in hell of that. I mean, Christ, we were talking about Horizon earlier and that potentially coming out. There's no way in hell this is coming out this year. No way. Maybe end of next year if we're lucky. It all depends, man. I mean, like, I'm still super, super hyped about this game. I really, really am. And even though I'm getting all these warning flags, I mean, any survival horror is going to grab my attention. especially one that looks visually stunning, like the pre-release stuff, that little couple of like seconds gameplay that they showed just looked amazing. So I'm really hopeful, but yeah, not anytime soon, mate. Not anytime soon. What about yourself, Phil? What do you reckon about all this?
I don't like you guys teasing me about another Metal Gear Solid. As you know, and as my Twitter followers know, I've been sorting out my retro gaming collection. But yeah, it turns out I've got quite a lot of Metal Gear games. Please stop teasing me. I would love another Metal Gear Solid.
I think we were all in agreement on that. Just stop teasing us, man. Just release a fucking video on YouTube and just show us what it is and just calm down these expectations, because they are getting, or they've gotten, I should say, out of hand. It's just insane. There's no way it's ever going to live up to what everyone hopes it to be. And I just hope that they just take some self-reflection, because they got no one to blame here but themselves from how they stoked this. That's my take on it anyway. I don't know how you feel about all this, Spence.
Literally exactly the same. Every single fault that they have at the minute is purely their own. Well, they're to blame. Yeah, I don't get the point, man. It'd be nice. Nothing like on YouTube will ever look as good as it would being ran on your system. So I understand their thought process in this real-time experience, but it's just not smart. They could have made a YouTube video so easily, and then everyone would be like, oh, this game's legit, it's happening. It wouldn't have to look 4K, 60, any of that. It could just be a 1080, 30 FPS video, and everyone would be like, oh my god, it looks stunning, can't wait to see it on my PS5. Whereas now, when this app works, fuck knows when, in 2023, we'll know what it looks like. And I won't be able to speculate, because I'll know. Speculation is like one of the biggest things that sells a game.
That's it, isn't it? We're basically the speculation cast at this point, especially today with the amount of rumors we've had. You're right, it just undercuts conversation. I mean, this is the first time I've ever known a game do this with this whole real-time experience thing. And it's kind of testing the waters, and at the moment, those waters ain't looking good. This has been a bad way to market your game so far. But I'm happy to be proven wrong on that, and I'm still very excited, as I said. The final topic of today is my topic. I want to talk to you lads about a phrase that I've coined, and that's Death Month. So what is Death Month, I hear you ask, listener, into your car radio? Well, Death Month happens every single year, but it changes depending on what's happening. Death Month is the 1 month of the year where it's just jam-packed with games all the entire month, and you think, what the fuck am I going to play? And what can I afford to play? And what do I buy now? And what do I leave till later? Death Month this year is September. It is absolutely stacked. I'm going to run you through what's coming out this month. And then, lads, I want to know, we'll kind of do a shag, marry, kill, right? So which ones you're just going to flitter with, which ones you're going to marry, the ones you want the most, and which ones you're going to bin off, which ones you're going to kill. So we'll kind of run it like that. That's what I'm thinking. So I'll run you through what we've got out this month. September 7th, we got Fist. September 10th, Life is Strange True Colors. September 14th, Deathloop, Ever Forward, and Tales of Iron. September 21st, Aragami 2 and Kenna Bridge of Spirits. September 23rd, Diablo 2 Resurrected. September 24th, Lost Judgment and Death Stranding Director's Cut. And September 28th, Ghost Runner and Lemnis Gate. Stacked month, lads. So, what is your shag, marry, kill from that list, and why is it like that? Let's start off with your shags. What are the ones that you're thinking of that you'll have a flitter with, but maybe not a day oneer? So Spencer, why don't you start us off?
Sure. So for my shag, the games that I'm probably going to have maybe a bit of a one-night stand with, I feel it'd maybe be Ghost Runner on September 28th, because I've played the demo of that on PC, and it's kind of like a movement-based game where you're kind of like a samurai type thing, and you just kind of traverse the level really like stylishly. You just kind of you run along walls, you have to kill everyone in the area to progress, and the game is just a really like polished, stylish looking thing, and the game makes you look cool, and it makes you feel cool as well.
I can't remember this game at all. So what kind of perspective is that then? Is that like a side-on, like a side-scroller kind of thing?
It's the closest I could relate it to is Mirror's Edge. It's first-person parkour type stuff.
Oh, wow. Oh, decent.
Yeah, but I know that game's gonna, it's like, it's stylish, makes you look cool, so I want the best movement I can get. So if I do play that game, it would probably be on PC. And that's the difference there. The other game, I'd probably flirt with Deathloop. Because I'm excited for Deathloop, but not enough. I'd probably play it a bit, but it would be on my backlog if my Marys were in my hands. I wouldn't be playing it.
Phil, I want to ask you actually, just going back slightly to Ghost Runner. So you were massive on Mirror's Edge, right? So have you looked into this game before? Or is this the first time you're hearing this, same as me?
Yeah, it really surprised me, actually. I've been furiously Googling in the background while you guys have been chatting. And yeah, it's something that's just got on my radar, actually. I'll be checking that out. I do love a Mirror's Edge.
Yeah, so that's it for my shags, as we said. So, Phil, how about you?
Well, as you guys are probably expecting, I've only got eyes for one lady in that lineup. But if I had to play away, and I would definitely have to be forced, it would be Deathloop. For me, this game is a bit of a risk because you know how much I've played Returnal. And Deathloop is looking like that same sort of genre of game. I've got a bit of a gap at the moment before we get into these games in September. So I do want to revisit Returnal. It's on my list. But yeah, I think Deathloop for me is a bit of a risk. But I'm really enjoying all the visuals and all the stuff that's coming out of social media at the moment. And I'm quite hyped about that game. So that would be my shag.
So in terms of my shag list, right? Now I'm playing my shag list like as if I got a mistress, right? So I'm married to a couple of games, which I'll talk about in a minute, but I'm still going to be shagging away, right? And so this is where now the games that are in my shag list, I am really, really excited by, but I don't think they're going to be like mainstays. They're not the ones that I'm like over the moon excited by. And the first one is Life is Strange True Colors. After coming off Life is Strange 2, which I talked about last podcast, I think it was, I'm really excited by the game, and I can't wait to get in there and play it, but I know it's going to be a game that's going to be over within a weekend, and I'll be done with it. So I could start it on the release day of the 10th, and I know that I'll be wrapping it up by the 12th, and I'll be done with it, and it'd be sorted. So it'd be like a nice little in and out job, you know? Couple of quick blasts on it, and then you bounce, right? Never see them again, and you hope they don't turn up on your doorstep with a bump in 9 months. And that's what I'm kind of hoping for out of Life is Strange.
Is that a full pump kind of situation?
Just get in, get it done, yeah. Just get in, get yours, get out, right? And that's what I'm hoping for. Get a platinum in the process, move on swift. And so that's what I'm hoping out of that one. So that's why that's landed in my shag list. And apart from that, the other game that's joining it there is going to be Kenna Bridge of Spirits. I am super excited by this game. I think it's going to be a great experience, but I think it's going to be a short little experience. I don't think it's going to last too long, and I think it's going to be something that, much like with Life is Strange, I could probably play over a weekend and then put it to bed. And I think it's going to be a really premium experience. Everything I've seen looks absolutely sensational. It looks spellbindingly good, actually. It's like eye-watering how good that game looks. I'll be surprised if I enjoy it more than I'm going to enjoy my married games. So speaking of marriage games, which games are you taking home and you're carrying over the doorstep, Spence?
Right, I got a bit of an issue here because there's a few. So obviously the first one, September 7th, Fist. We watched that presentation. That game looks fucking awesome. It blew me away. So that's easily a day one for me, and I'd hope to get it finished in time for my next marry. So the marry following that, to be fair, is a good bit away. So from September 7th, the next game is September 21st, which is obviously Kenna Bridge of Spirits. Because, as we said, that was my most anticipated game because I couldn't say Village. So, it was Kenna. And you were right, it looks breathtaking. We've seen gameplay since as well on some obscure YouTube channel. They uploaded gameplay of it. It looks awesome. It looks like a Pixar movie similar to Ratchet. It just looks so vibrant and colourful. I can't wait to just play it. And I agree with you, I do think it'll be short. But I'm hoping that I love the time that I have with it. Because a short game doesn't make a bad game.
No, definitely not. We've said that so many times on this podcast now that game length isn't an indication of value or anything like that. I'd much prefer, and we all said this before, but it's worth repeating for the listeners here, that we'd all much prefer a shorter experience which is just well paced and is just a joy from beginning to end, rather than something that feels padded or outstays its welcome.
How many marriages have you got? Because I know certain cultures you are allowed to have multiple wives. I think, I don't know where you're practicing, Spence. Are you going for number 3 now?
This is number 3, and it doesn't end there. So number 3 for me, and thankful that we think Kenna's going to be a short experience because it's 2 days later, and that's Diablo 2 Resurrected. So during this podcast, during one of our breaks, I actually watched a cinematic, or I skimmed through a cinematic, and this game looks phenomenal. The cinematics at least look phenomenal. I can't imagine the gameplay looking too great, but it's a dated game, and that's fine. I know it's going to be really fun. I adored Diablo 3. It was probably one of my most played games. I'm really excited for this, and it's just going to be great. I'm just hoping I can get Kenna done in time. The issue is that the next day is my next marriage.
Fuck me, you got a harem going on.
Right. Well, this is the beauty of Death Month, because obviously Fist is my first wife. I have a good while before the next wife. Soon as Kenna, wife number 2, comes out, divorced. Fist's gone, because I'll be playing Kenna. And then I'll need to beat Kenna, short experience. 2 days later, divorced Kenna. Diablo 2's out. The only issue is I'll have 2 concurrent wives. And that's Diablo 2, and then the next day, Death Stranding Director's Cut. Because as you boys know, I never experienced it on PS4. I'm very excited. Very much excited. Especially after you boys raving on about it. Phil, raving on about it as much as you boys do. I'm looking forward to that game. I'm just a bit gutted that I have a day with Diablo 2.
Imagine the nagging you're going to get, mate. Imagine the nagging. Everyone thinks like having multiple wives is going to be a blessing, right? Can you, like, I can barely cope with mine. My wife going on at me. Let alone if you got like 5 wives knocking about. Christ.
There's lots of things multiple wives could do for you, Davey.
What, you mean like make sandwiches and hang my clothes up? But, you know, it's not worth the nagging, mate. It's not worth the nagging. I think you guys aren't married, right? Let me tell you, as soon as you put that ring on, it's drying up. And, you know, 5 wives, you can space it out, right? So, you know, maybe every, you know, you can tell them you got different birthdays, right? So you can tell them, you know, one person you say, yeah, my birthday is November 1st. The next one, you know, is July 2nd. And maybe you get 12 wives, right? So at least you get a guaranteed shag every single month. But you ain't getting much more than that. You know, 5 wives, you just got 5 times the amount of work, I reckon. Not worth it.
You should be grateful, mate. But that is it for my marriages. So Phil, fill us in.
I cannot believe I'm going to have to share my wife with you, Spencer.
She'll be mine, mate.
We're gonna have to do like a day on, day off kind of situation where I have Monday, Wednesday, you know, Friday, and then we'll juggle the weekends around a little bit. But yeah, my wife, I'll be getting down on one knee on September 24th and proposing to Death Stranding Director's Cut. Yes, I have platinumed the game. Yes, it does come in my probably top 3 games of all time. I absolutely love this game. I've probably talked too much about this game on this podcast. I'm sure it'll become a shot at some stage if I mention it anymore. I'm going to be buying physical, as I mentioned previously. It's going to retail at $39.85. That's on Shop2. Yes, I cannot wait for Death Stranding Director's Cut.
You're very much taking the UK stance on marriage then, Phil. Just one wife, look after her, treat her right.
One girlfriend is enough.
Right. Yeah, so with mine, you and me, Spence, we're sharing a wife too. So we got loads of chances to catch something off each other here. Because I'm going for Fist as well. So Fist is the game that I'm actually most excited about for this entire year. I cannot wait to play it. You know, put a bunny in a spacesuit, in like a little mech suit, and hell, I'm in. I never thought I'd have to say that in a sentence, but here we are. So Fist, yeah, I cannot wait for it. That's definitely on my marriage list. I cannot wait. Following on from that then, a week later is Deathloop. Obviously, I've talked about Deathloop. I'm championing that game on this podcast, I swear to God, because Arcane is just fantastic. They're so good at what they do.
Those seconds are going to be sloppy after me and Spencer have been with them, mate.
I don't care. I'll slip them out. I'll wash her off first. She'll have got all cleaned up for the marriage, mate. So I'll cleaned her. She'll have made a good effort, you know, and that first marriage week's going to be great. And then after that, then it all depends on how how bad the multiplayer is and how ganked I get by people depends on how I feel about it after that honeymoon period is over. And that is September 14th, so I'm really, really excited by that. And then, Spence, like you said as well, Diablo 2, September 23rd. I am super, super, super hyped by this. I missed Diablo 2 when it originally came out, and my first kind of introduction to the series was Diablo 3. So to be able to go back and play the game that people rave about as being the best one in that entire series, and how good it looks, hell yeah, cannot wait. And I'll be juggling that alongside Deathloop, I imagine. Now what you notice, lads, is there's a game that isn't included on my marriage list. And that's because I'm going to go and make a shock gesture here. I'm going out of order. My kill list is actually Death Stranding.
What?
It's on my kill list. And I'll pick it up way later. I'll get to it way later. Way later. Way later. I definitely am going to play it.
That is so unfair for me, mate. What am I going to talk about for the next how many episodes?
We can still talk about it.
Davey, you're going to have to go out the room like every episode so I can have like a block of time where I can talk about the new additions within Death Stranding Director's Cut.
You can talk to me about it, mate. I'll be playing it.
Out of all the games there, right, there's obviously loads of games I'm not interested in. Like, I could kill 3/4 of that list off and not feel a goddamn thing. But I think you've got to feel something for a kill, right? Or in my mind, you do, right? You've got to have some kind of feeling there. And Death Stranding, as close as I am to getting the platinum on it, and as much as I want to re-experience that game because of how fantastic it is, something's got to give. And with the amount of like games I got to play for review for the series that I can't mention and everything else, I can't fit it all in. And I think that's the game that I can park until later in the year when I've got a little bit more time and I can think, right, well, I can dedicate myself to this and give it all the time I want to give to it. Because
you're going to play it, though. You are going to play it, so that's bullshit.
Now, in saying this, I'm kind of talking myself around because it all depends on how long Deathloop is. I imagine Deathloop's going to be a bit of a graft. That's what I'm thinking. Like kind of a Returnal, where it takes me like a good solid month to do. And if that's the case, then I'll pick up Death Stranding then at that point after I'm done with it. But yeah, it's gonna have to slide. I've experienced the game already. I love it. I know I love it, and it'll be there ready for me when I want it. Sorry to take it out of order, lads, but I had to get that off my chest straight away. And that's the only one on my kill list. This is the only one I care about that I won't get around to that month. What about yourself, Spence?
Well, I'm not gonna lie, I don't care about most of these games. Most of them, I read it and I thought, what the fuck? I'm not getting that. But the only one that kind of has any attachment to me, which is on my kill list, is probably Life is Strange True Colors. And that's because I adored the first game. I loved it. But it didn't make me want to play more of it. So I don't feel the need to play 2, which you've obviously just been playing, or True Colors, or Before the Storm. I haven't even played that. So, as much as I adored Life is Strange 1, which I truly did, I'm probably not going to play True Colors until either it's really cheap or it's on PS Plus. So that's my only kill game, because the other games, they're not even kills. I'd walk past them on the street and not even glance at them.
Not worth the bullet, are they?
No.
Not worth it. You go up and you just like literally just give them the butt of the gun. Just maim them, maybe, but not kill, Let them live there, still suffering a little.
They're the zombies you run past, mate.
Yeah. It's a good point. Good analogy.
Phil, mate, what's your kill?
Well, like a returning ex-girlfriend, my kill is Diablo 2. You want nothing to do with a returning ex-girlfriend. I've played that game to death. In the early days of the internet, my brother, Willard, friend of the show, we spent our time scamming people out of weapons online. And we loved that game back in the day. But for me, I'm just not interested in revisiting that game at this stage. I know it's a heavy investment in time, and time is a premium for me. So unfortunately, guys, Diablo 2 is my kill.
Wow. I was really looking forward to us going out into rifts together and leveling up, my barbarian, Barry, and the rest of you guys, whoever you play. I imagine Phil plays probably like a warlock or something.
The Necromancer is the overpowered class in Diablo 2.
Might be rebalanced now, you never know.
Blizzard's a bit busy on the I doubt they're rebalancing Diablo.
They got enough on their plate right now. Well, I tell you what, lads, I really enjoyed doing it that way. I think that was a good little way to kind of separate in your mind how you're going to get around to playing these games. But listener, I'd love to hear what your Shag, Marry and Kill lists are for the month of September, aka Death Month. So write into the email, pswetrust@gmail.com.
We'll be putting this out on our Twitter as well, so you can reply to the tweet with your options. Our Twitter is @MPSWeTrust. And of course, you can open up conversation with our personal Twitter accounts, and all those will be listed within the description of the podcast.
Also, you could reach out to us, join the conversation on Reddit. We'll be discussing it there. That will be in the description below.
And remember, guys, this podcast is thriving at the moment on word of mouth. So the more that you can share the podcast around to people that you like, people you hate, basically anyone you meet, really, just tell them about it. Because it all helps us grow and find a larger audience. And ultimately, any reviews that any of you could spare us just a couple of minutes of your time to put on, be that on Apple or on wherever you listen to your podcast, put a rating on it, because it helps us get in front of more eyes, and that only helps us grow. I do want to give a special shout out to India, where we're growing quite a lot lately. So I want to say thank you guys for coming on board. And our American audience, as you guys know, we're really grateful to all that you do. Now, something I haven't told the podcast hosts actually, but I'll say it here. I'm actually planning a bit of a giveaway at the moment. I've reached out to a couple of different game developers for my YouTube for different things that I'm going to be covering. And if I manage to get any free codes, then I'll make sure I'm not going to use them myself, because I want to make sure that my experience is games that I bought. But if I do get any free codes around, I'll be putting them out on the podcast. So stay tuned, and I'll let you guys know what happens with that in the coming weeks. Well, that's about it for this episode of In PS We Trust. Thank you ever so much for listening, and I really hope that we hear from you guys soon on our social links, as we've already discussed. Now, I've been Davey.
I've been Phil.
And I've been Spencer.
Take care, guys.
Peace. I know, yeah, it comes in well quick, doesn't it? And it's really fast. It's great. I like it. Done.
It's online. Follow our Twitters @SSJDavy, @PhilipHoy, @SpenPie_. Thank you for listening. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. See ya.